Hi, everybody. I wanted to jump on and do this info series, let's call it that, because something happened today that just reinforced what I really want to get across to people. And that is your doctor doesn't know everything. For those of you that know me and have followed me for the last few years, you know that I have gone through hell trying to figure out what is wrong with me. And I ended up spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars because I had to reach out to doctors in the States because nobody here knew what was going wrong with me. And there's something to be said about when you have a diagnosis, the fear comes down so much. Because when you're experiencing so many symptoms and nobody knows what's wrong with you, it's really scary. So I was finally diagnosed with Mast Cell Activation Syndrome. And I want to read a little bit of this. I've printed it out so that I get the facts correct because Mast Cell Activation Syndrome affects 17% of the population. That's a lot. And when I thought I had this, I remember saying something to my sister, and she said, "Oh, I asked my doctor, and he said, oh, your sister doesn't have that. That's so rare. There's no way she can have that." Well, it's not rare at all. And what happened today was I'm working with a new doctor, and he wanted me to have a blood serum histamine test. And here in Ontario, they don't do it anymore unless you are in the hospital. And so I reached out to him and I told him that, and he said, "Oh, that's absolutely horrible that, Ontario has cut that test." And I'm like, "Yes." So my GP said, reach out to your allergist, reach out to the allergist that we suggested you see, who I saw back in 2021, who I'm going to be very honest, was absolutely useless. So I thought, okay, I'll reach out again just to see if he could do a blood requisition for histamine. And I spoke to the nurse and she said, "Oh, no, we just test for tryptase." Yeah, no, that is like on the bottom of the list for testing for MCAS. So let's just go over MCAS. What is mast cell activation syndrome? Really, when your immune system runs rampant. And I think we can all agree that there are so many people now with chronic conditions, more so than, complex chronic illness has overtaken heart disease, I think even cancer when you think about it, but it's not talked about and it's not researched enough. So there's many that fall through the cracks, and that was me. And so that's why I want to share this today so that no one else has to go through what I have gone through. So, what is mast cell activation syndrome? Mast cell activation syndrome refers to a group of disorders with diverse causes presenting with episodic multi-system symptoms as the result of mast cell mediator release, often without causing abnormalities in routine laboratory or radiological testing. Most people with MCAS have chronic and recurrent inflammation with or without allergic symptoms. This occurs when an aspect of the innate immune system becomes overactive and releases a flood of inflammatory chemicals, which may affect every organ in the body. And that is true. It affects every organ in the body. Symptoms of MCAS will wax and wane over time, which is what's happened for me. The last 5 years been horrible, but I think my whole life they've gone like this. Another way to think of this is symptoms will flare up and then go into remission, affecting different organs and body parts over and over again throughout a person's life without any common unifying theme or establishing a diagnosis. MCAS can present subtly or may become serious as an individual ages. That's me. So for some, MCAS becomes a highly probable diagnosis when they notice they have had various symptoms of an inflammatory nature over the years. So maybe you've had allergies as a toddler. I did not. Various skin rashes that come and went. I've had that. Disturbed gut function. I've had that. So possibly diagnosed as your typical IBS, I had that, or SIBO, or acid reflux. SIBO is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. I was diagnosed with that 5 years ago. Unexplained anxiety, headaches, had those, insomnia, poor wound healing. Any of these symptoms could indicate MCAS. So the top researcher in the States is Dr. Afrin. So if you have a doctor and you think you have mast cell activation, get him to read the papers published by Dr. Lawrence Afrin. It's the best info out there, and it will really help your doctor or your allergist. Dr. Afrin believes that this is an epidemic. Mast cell activation is an epidemic and affects 17% of the US population, 1 out of every 6 to 7 individuals. That's a lot of people. So for your doctor to say, oh, it's just so rare is ridiculous. And so what are mast cells? Well, they are white blood cells, and they literally can release up to 1,000 different chemicals and mediators. One of them being histamine, only one. And so what they're doing, what your mast cells are doing is it's a response against foreign invaders. So it could be parasites. So you could have parasites. And again, if your doctor says parasites are so rare, they're not. I would say most people have parasites. You can learn to live with them. But if you eat meat, if you walk outside, if you've traveled, if you eat raw veggies, raw strawberries, raspberries, you have parasites because they're in them. You can't get rid of them. You can't wash them off. So we need mast cells to protect us from infection, heal wounds, and create new blood cells. You also can get mast cell if you've got viruses. So I've got Lyme. If you've been susceptible or exposed to mold, we found mold in our bedroom. I know it had been there for years, and I kept complaining to my husband that I smelled mold, and he didn't smell anything. Eventually, I convinced him. He tore out the walls, and we found tons of mold. Mast cells are found in most tissues throughout your body. Okay, so let's see. So most people that go into a doctor's office have a multi-system, multi-symptom inflammatory responses. Those are the people that most likely have MCAS, and they go from doctor to doctor to doctor, which is what happened to me. And that's so frustrating. And when you're not feeling well, it's exhausting because MCAS symptoms are so broad. So a lot of doctors will say that their patients say, I've been sick for a long time. I overreact to bee stings or insect bites. I react to penicillin. Hello. I can't take a full breath. Whenever I stand up, I get lightheaded. I've got insomnia, other sleep disorders. I have tinnitus, ringing in your ear. I've had that forever. Vomiting as an infant, abdominal pain, chest flushing, red line appearing on the skin when it is scratched with a blunt instrument. So you can sort of do this and then wait and see if that white mark turns red. Fatigue, frequent infections, viruses, edema, water accumulation, food, drug, and chemical sensitivities. Of course, I have those, especially to fragrances. That's me. Sense of being cold all the time, not being able to regulate your temperature. That started to happen to me 4 years ago. Decreased wound healing, I said that. Hypersensitivity to environmental things, to medications, weight loss, weight gain, heat intolerance. That was me. I could not go outside for like, I don't know how many summers. Generally feeling inflamed. So let's see. Yeah, that's red. So MCAS can affect many organs. So your eyes, it can affect your eyes with irritated eyes, dry eyes, burning eyes, difficulty focusing. Your nose, of course, you can have sinusitis, postnasal drip, nosebleeds. I had those as a kid forever. Popping of your ears, it can affect your throat, difficulty swallowing, itchy throat, burning mouth, burning tongue. I've had that. Skin, hives, skin flushing, itching, skin rashes, chronic itching, bruising easily, patchy red facing. So I get burning skin. It feels like someone has taken sandpaper from head to toe. It is horrible. Cardiovascular, you can have fainting on standing. You can have tachycardia, which I've had for 5 years. You can have heart palpitations. You can have drops in blood pressure. You can have high pulse, lightheadedness, hot flashes. You can have POTS, which I also have, and then there's the respiratory part, asthma, wheezing. It can affect your GI tract. Lots of nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation. That's the one I had. Non-cardiac chest pain, acid reflux, can affect your liver, and neurological. So migraines, headaches, tremors, seizures, shaking. I was getting that. Memory loss, poor concentration. That's me. Memory loss, not poor concentration. Difficulty finding words. You can have osteoporosis. You can have history of clots, vein thrombosis, increased bruising, heavy menstrual cycle. That was always me with tons of pain. You can have blood disorders. You can have psychiatric like anxiety, panic, depression, OCD, ADHD, forgetfulness. It can affect your genitals. You can have recurrent bladder infections. Can affect your hormones, painful periods, decreased libido, can affect your teeth. You can have dental, and of course, you can be anaphylactic. And I think a lot of doctors say, oh, well, you're not you've never been anaphylactic, you've never really had a lot of allergies, you don't have MCAS. And so I think the other important thing that I wanted to share is testing. So for me, it was histamine issues. For me, it was terrible tachycardia at night, terrible burning, this feel like sandpaper burning. I felt like my heart was exploding at night and the hot boiling lava blood was going everywhere. It was horrible. And then my pulse would go really high. My blood pressure would be sky high. I've always had low blood pressure. Like my blood pressure has always been like 90 over 50. And it was like 170 over 85. Like for me, that's like, I'd end up in the ER. They said, you're not having a heart attack. Go home, see your GP. GP had no idea. Yes, I had SIBO. Yes, he thought I had issues with HP access, which was the anxiety, sends you to a gastroenterologist, sends you to a cardiologist, sends you to an allergist. Those doctors don't talk together. I mean, this body is a whole. It's not little compartments. And that's where I feel our medical system is horrible. I've said it, I'll say it, I'll scream it from the top of our roof. I think our medical system is horrible. It's fine if you have appendicitis, if you've broken your leg, if you're having a heart attack. But if you have complex chronic illness, I waited 3 years to see an internist, went to see him. He said, there's no one that can help you. There's nobody that studies, there's no research going into complex chronic illness. It's still going into cancer. It's still going into heart disease. Now, though, it is going into long haul COVID, which is maybe a good thing because there are some connections. So if you think you have MCAS, go to your doctor and ask them. I'm going to get the list for what you should be asking for because, of course, my doctor said, oh, you don't have MCAS. Yeah, well, guess what? You were wrong. First of all, actually, what I did was I took out all histamine foods because histamine is one of the main mediators that gets flooded into the body when you have MCAS, but it's not the only one. As I said, there's 1,000 mediators that cause inflammation, that cause these blood cells to go crazy. So I did cut out histamine foods. I wasn't eating yeast food. I wasn't drinking, but leftovers, dairy, gluten, fermented foods, none of those things, kombucha, shellfish, citrus foods, vinegar, berries, cured meats. You can't have any of that. And if you notice a difference when you start to cut that out, that is a sign. So I did notice a difference. And certainly if you have dysbiosis, the gut has tons of mast cells in it. So if your gut is not functioning properly, and I would say probably a lot of people these days have IBS, gut dysbiosis, because of the standard American diet. The standard American diet, every single grain you are eating is sprayed with glyphosate. It's sprayed with Roundup. We used Roundup during the war to kill people, and yet we allow farmers to spray it on our food. So, no wonder your gut has holes in it and is leaking stuff out. I mean, it only makes sense, right? Diabetes, asthma, autism. There's all connections to mast cell activation. Lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, candida, celiac disease, skin conditions, infertility. It's amazing. Okay, so here are the tests. So you want to have a histamine plasma. He says by Quest. So if you're in the States, if you're in Canada, I'm sorry, you're just going to have to pay the big bucks and send this to the US if you want to get diagnosed, because I have not been able to find anybody here that they'll test you for tryptase. And if it comes back normal, they'll say you don't have MCAS. So tell them to go back to school, or tell them to read Dr. Lawrence Afrin's papers. So that will help them to learn more about MCAS so that you can be diagnosed properly. L-methylhistamine is a 24-hour urine. I can't even say this, prostaglandin D2. Prostaglandin D2, chromogranin A from Quest, serum tryptase is number 7. It's rarely elevated in MCAS. So there you go. Leukotriene, plasma, goodness, mosquitoes are bad. Plasma heparin, blood clotting profile, anti-IgE receptor antibody, neuron-specific enolase, plasma, I can't even pronounce this, plasma-free norepinephrine, urine, metanephrines, immunoglobulins. So you want to do your IgG, IgM, IgE, and IgA. Serious people need to have bone marrow biopsy, but other than that, normal CBC, of course, genetic testing, looking for phase 1, phase 2 liver detox and methylation defects. So if you have not had your genetics done, I would get your genetics done, because again, that's going to tell you, that told me a lot about the MTHFR and the COMT genes, and my liver, my second detox pathway does not work very well at all. So hopefully this will give you some information about mast cell activation syndrome. And I want people to share this, because I think there are lots of people, well, 1 in 7, right? 1 in 7 walking around with this. I've probably had this maybe all my life, or certainly it can come on later on in life. But certainly when I read through the issues, I've had those for over 25 years, 30 years. Nobody diagnosed me with that. And only in the last 5 years, when we found mold, and I was exposed to so much mold in our master bedroom, did I get really, really bad. So bad that I was bedridden for many years. And as you can see now, I'm outside, which is very exciting. Out of bed. Yay, the simple things are great. And I'm outside because I'm doing this whole quantum healing. And that's huge, because when you're sick, you're living an indoor life mostly. Like when you're bedridden, whether it's with cancer or heart disease or mast cell or something really serious, and you're lying on the couch or you're lying in bed, your circadian rhythm has gone out of whack. And we have circadian cells in we have a circadian clock in every single cell of our body. And if that circadian clock is out, then things are going to start to fail. And I know that for my belly, because I have been resetting my circadian rhythm since November. So what do I do? There's an amazing course. If you want to know about it, it's online. You can pay whatever you can afford. This will change your life. I think everybody should be doing this, even if you're 100% healthy, because you'll feel even better. And really, what it's all about is resetting your circadian rhythm. And that is by getting natural light into your eyes. So, you know how most people wake up in the morning and they look at their phone, or they turn on the light, or they go into the bathroom and turn on the light, or they go downstairs and turn on the kitchen light. No, you have to get first morning light into your eyes. Natural light has to be the first light into your eyes, because otherwise your circadian rhythm is all, pardon my language, fucked up. And when that goes on for a long time, you can get sick. And so I've been doing that. I've also been able to be out in the sun this year. So for the last 4 years, I could not go out in the sun. My nerve endings would feel like they were on fire. But because I've been getting the light into my eyes, I think things have calmed down a little bit, because you probably can't see, but I've been able to tan, and I've been tanning my belly. And that's made such a difference. If you've got IBS, get out into the sun and tan. Get that natural infrared light on your belly at safe times. I think we have been scared senseless about the sun, and we don't need to be afraid of the sun. The sun is our friend. People 100 years ago would wake up with the sun and they'd go to bed with the sun. And farmers were out all day long in the fields. They didn't get skin cancer. Why was that? Because they had the right light signals in their eyes all day long. And not only were they out in the sun in the UVB, but they were out in the UVA. UVA light lowers inflammation in your body. So if you have any inflammatory condition, download the Circadian app on your phone and figure out when UVA is now. Unfortunately, we're in Ottawa, and soon I'm going to lose UVA and UVB. Oh, I wish I felt better. We could go somewhere sunny. Hopefully one day. But all summer long, I have been out in UVA light, just loving my body, loving my circadian rhythm. And I know for me, it's going to take a while, because I have been so very ill. I've been bedridden for years. And that's why I say, if you've got a few little issues, if you do this, you're going to heal. I've read so many testimonials, hundreds and hundreds of testimonials on websites. Visit Jack Cruz. He's a neurosurgeon who has been teaching his patients to do this for years. The testimonials are amazing. Hormones come back online, gut heals, headache heals, immune issues heal, autoimmune conditions heal, like you name it. Cancer, they used to heal cancer with sunlight years ago. So I truly believe you cannot heal if you are living an indoor life. I really, after all the courses, I've done quantum biology courses this year, quantum healing courses, and I honestly believe you cannot heal if you are not in the natural light. If you are all day on a screen, watching TV, on your phone, in front of a computer monitor, I'm not wearing blue blocking glasses, you're going to get sick. I believe that you probably already sick. It just hasn't presented itself. And if you are working in an office under LED lights, if you have LED lights in your home, get rid of them. They are the worst artificial light you can have in your home. If only we could go back to incandescent light bulbs. They are so much more healthier than LED lights
or get a few red lights, but start wearing blue blockers. If you have insomnia, if you don't sleep well, get a pair of blue blockers. Go onto my website, shirleyplant.com, under favorite products. I've got coupon codes for the best blue blocking glasses you can own. They've all been tested. Yeah, so if you're interested in learning more about quantum healing, visit my website. Check out Carrie B. Wellness's courses. She has so many. She is so amazing, so talented, so wonderful that she offers her courses to anybody. You literally could pay $1 if that's all you can afford, or you can pay full price if you can afford it. They're not expensive, but literally, I mean, I wouldn't pay $1 for a course. I would at least pay $50 or $60, but that's how amazing she is and how important this information is, because we just see, I don't think you can walk a block without running into someone that's got an autoimmune condition, diabetes, is overweight, um, doesn't sleep well, ADD, autism. Like literally, do you think you can walk a block without someone saying, oh, yeah, my dad has this. Oh, my mom has heart disease. Oh, she's got chronic pain. Oh, she's got diabetes. Oh, the kid has ADD. Oh, my nephew has autism. So I hope this has helped. I'm going to stay out in the light. It's a perfectly lovely day. Yes, you can do it in cloudy days. Doesn't have to be sunny. You can reset your circadian when it's raining, when it's snowing. It just has to be out in the natural light. Talk soon, everybody. Hope you have a great day. And of course, I can't even see my computer to stop this. Anyway, hope this was helpful. And if you need more information, please feel free to reach out to me, shirleyplant.com.